In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network. This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Second hour of Money Moves coming at you live from downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort and Casino. I'm Stormy Buonantony. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. Lots to get to this hour. Plenty of NHL and NBA postseason action. A little NBA lottery odds movement to discuss. Or I guess it's not lottery anymore. Draft odds movement.
There you go.
Well, best bets at the
They
end
would be lottery selections.
of the hour. Yeah. But I was like, why did I say it that way?
I don't know. I question a lot of what you say sometimes. You're a little out of it today. You've been projecting your bad mood onto others like Adam Burke.
That's
the
not fair.
constant presence of happiness and joy, continue to persevere through the storm that is your mood today.
That's one way to take the day.
Much like the Mayflower when it took the Pilgrims through trial and tribulation on the way to Plymouth Rock, I continue to move forward.
You are a strong, strong soul. We'll also have
I'm also a wordsmith of sorts, as you can tell.
A bit of football talk later on as well. Best bets not only for tonight, but some series bets that we are adding to the account. But I want to start here with where we left off our last segment with the aforementioned Adam Burke talking about the Montreal and Buffalo series. Game 7 closed out last night. It was just a banger of a night in general in sports yesterday with what San Antonio and OKC were able to do on the court in double overtime, and then, of course, on the ice prior to that. So Alex Newhook ends up playing hero yet again for the Montreal Canadiens. He also had a Game 7 game winner against Tampa in round 1. And
Damian Lillard on ice.
Is that what they're...
Dame Lillard's got, I don't know, I called it. He's got two series.
Mr. Game 7.
Well, he's got two series-winning walk-off shots. So, I mean, like, when I think of Damian Lillard, I also think of my man Newhook. That is exactly what I put together, exactly.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
And you know how in football, we love when we hear the alternate radio call, whether it's like the Spanish broadcast call or there was with some of the overseas games this past year, there was that Englishman who we were loving his call of the game. Well, we have, because it is in Montreal, French Canadian, a lovely Montreal French language broadcast call of the game winner last night. Take a listen.
Longe la ligne bleue, disque perdu, et Carrier s'empare de la rondelle libre. Carrier, la passe, on entre avec Newhook, Evans vers le filet, le tir, et le but! Victoire des Canadiens! Alex Newhook propulse le CH en finale de l'Association de l'Est!
It's so good. As someone who doesn't know a lick of French at all, the energy was palpable. And
Yeah.
you understand nothing. Alex Newhook!
Who was on the call for ESPN yesterday?
Sean McDonough.
McDonough does a really good job, but his call for the game winner was somewhat muted compared to some of the other calls that he had in the goals for that game. I don't know if he got caught up, if he was doing something, and he wasn't prepared for it. That was much better.
I thought he had a good call last night in general, though. But
No, he did. I was just like that game winner because he had one of the Sabres goals.
Yeah.
Who scored for Buffalo yesterday? Give me a name. Starts with a D. My mind is slipping with
Doc?
me. Either way, one of the goals that I think it was either tied it or the first one, he was going insane. And this one, it was like, they win. I was like, okay. Feel like maybe we should put a little bit more passion behind it. That was passionate. That was fire.
Oh, you're talking Rasmus Dahlin?
Dahlin, yeah, there we go. He gave him like a Dahlin! Like it was pretty crazy.
His voice crack on some of those big moments.
But it was a good call.
I enjoy it, yeah.
Go back and watch the Dahlin goal and listen to the call. He was awesome. And then the last one, it was somewhat passive in comparison to the Rasmus Dahlin goal, which was...
Well, the Dahlin goal was the game-tying one in the third that was, like, crazy. Speaking of the third period, which almost could have been the game winner, at one point in that period as well, where we talked about it a little bit earlier. Bowen Byram fires on net. The puck trickles between Dobish's pads.
Yep,
the whistle is called. And so I know Buffalo fans were losing their mind in that moment, but it was the right call when all was said and done. And Wes McCauley, the official who blew the whistle, was like standing right there.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, outside of that moment, because that was just a cherry on top of what was a crap pie there for the Buffalo Sabres fans, you should have won that game. I mean, at even strength, they dominated the Montreal Canadiens yesterday. If you look at the expected goal count for them, you look at high danger chances yesterday, everything in 5-on-5 screamed, if I presented to you without a final score, you would say, oh, like Buffalo won that game, right? And ultimately they don't. High danger chances in favor of Buffalo, 20-15. The expected goals for 5.1 to 2.9. Like, it was wild. The high leverage shots, the ability to generate high danger chances, and yet you can't get it done. The stupidity of hockey. It comes in again. And again, I mean that lovingly, but sometimes you can just pour on shots, high leverage shots at that, valuable shots, and they just don't go in for you for whatever reason. And Montreal gets away with one here, and they are the winners, and we'll move on to face Carolina. But that box score, that was one where Buffalo's got to be kicking themselves a little bit coming away with a loss.
Well, and I think you got to give Jakub Dobiš a lot of credit here. The way that he was able to respond and bounce back after giving up 6 goals in what was an eventual 8-3 loss in that last game 6. Now, so .949 save percentage for him last night. Rock solid in both of these game 7s from round 1 and 2. 65 saves on 68 shots across both series. And he and this team now 6-0 off a loss in the postseason. They, as a cumulative group, have done a really, really solid job in bounce-back spots.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to your point, too, he turned away 11 of 12 high-danger chances last night, too. I mean, he was fantastic. So it was weird because you watched the previous game, and I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
He looked awful.
And Adam brought up the idea of fatigue and how he looked in that game. And, yes, it was rough. But he's a rookie. He's a young guy. And he was even asked on the Sportsnet national broadcast for Canada afterwards, listen, this has been 2 really long series. Both have gone 7 games. Like, how are you feeling? And he goes, oh, me? I could play 40 more. So I think that there is a renewed sense of energy, I think, too, even though these have been long, grueling series for what is the youngest group to make the postseason this year. Now, how will that look moving forward against a very experienced Carolina Hurricanes team that, as we talked about, rested, been here, done that as well. If not now, when trying to get over the hump, you don't have the big bad Florida Panthers in your way anymore on that side of the bracket. In terms of the series prices, looking at Carolina minus 275 for just the flat out series price. If you're laying the game and a half, as I am, and I know we'll get into our best bets at the end of this hour, but I did take Carolina minus the game and a half in this one at minus 125. At DraftKings, it's juiced to minus 135. So shop around, find the best prices that you can. Total games 5.5. The over minus 145. If you think that Montreal can push this to 6, and I know there are a good chunk of people that think they can. But let's talk about that rest, because Carolina 8-0 in the playoffs, idle though since May 9th. So game 1 coming up on Thursday will be 13 days between games. They will have played 8 games in 46 days by puck drop because of both of these early series being done in 4. Facing a team that, as we just detailed, has played more hockey than anybody else, going 7 in both of these, as well as multiple overtimes. They've played how many? They just finished this series on overtime. I think 5 so far in the postseason, maybe 6.
I've got 5.
So
the first 3
they've
games,
played a lot of hockey.
Yeah, the first 3 games and 4 in total of that Lightning series, and then last night.
That's a lot.
Of course it is. Now, like you said, they're young, so I guess does that offset it a little bit?
I think to an extent, except for, as we saw last night in the third period in overtime, Martin St. Louis shortens the bench.
Sure.
So those top guys are playing even bigger minutes. So that would be something that I don't know if I'm going to have a bet in game 1. But I don't know what the answer is, right? Because we saw how Montreal got essentially dog-walked in game 1 of their series against Buffalo after a tough, grueling 7-game series.
And at the very least, you're at least not in a situation where, so Cleveland tonight, Game 7 on Sunday, off on Monday, you're back at Tuesday on the road. At the very least, you get 2 days off if you're Montreal, so there's a little bit more rest in between.
That's the same amount of time they had after round 1 to round 2, though.
Sure. I mean, look, it's always a negative situation, I think, coming off of a Game 7, regardless how much rest, but at the very least, you do just get that. I just think at the end of the day with Carolina, you've said this 1,000 times, we've said it, I think it would be an abject failure if you can't handle this series.
Yeah.
All of these teams that have given you problems and the style in which they play that have given you problems are not here. Now it is a young team. We've talked about experience in many different facets, whether it is NBA, now here in the NHL. Here's your natural progression for a team like Carolina. You have failed to break through. Now here is your opportunity to do so. You have everything that works for you at this point. You're rested, relatively healthy, have a massive advantage against a team that has been playing a lot of hockey. And he was great in that game, as we just mentioned. Let us also not forget, though, that Tobel has been all over the place throughout this series in this set against Buffalo. He was good against Tampa Bay, but the Sabres, I thought, exposed some of the issues that they had. So that's also a problem where you know that he's going to be the guy, but unlike what we've talked about with Carter Hart's at least even out to be pretty consistent now. Dobish, I mean, you got some explosions in here that if they pop up again in this series against Carolina, you're going to be up against it.
And I've told you my only real fear for Carolina, because I love so much of their game.
You hate
they
them.
have really, really talented offensive players. They play a suffocating style. They are up against you defensively. They have the best penalty kill, all of these things. But Frederik Andersen, yes, is a little bit of a concern for me in net, despite how amazing he's been in the playoffs, and he has been. But I can't get regular season Frederik Andersen out of my head. The benefit of that, though, is that the guys in front of him defensively are so effective and good and can help mask some of his issues as well. If there were a recipe for Montreal to win a couple games in this, I think it's that their power play is a little bit more skilled than Carolina has seen to this point, which maybe could cause some issues for their PK. Dobish would have to steal you a game or two. Sure. He would have to be on. And I think you have to win game one. You have to hope that Carolina comes out rusty, because they can't. It's very difficult to replicate game speed in general in practice, let alone playoff game speed.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be the recipe for Montreal if they wanted to win a couple games or potentially try to upset Carolina. I just don't think they can do it.
So would you're laying 1.5 games in Carolina?
Yes.
Okay. I think 2.5 would be the play for me. I'll play it, because I think that I'm big on this. I think it's plus 170 if I remember correctly, somewhere in that range. But I think they can get this done. I also want to give a little bit of wiggle room to what could be the stupidity of hockey and having a game in which you're just pouring on shots and just not going in. Dobish stands on his head, whatever it is. But I think a win in about 5 for Carolina, I think that should be in the cards. And I will say it again, go sports talkie for 2 seconds. It's an abject failure if you can't win this series, dude. Like, you can't. If you can't, then I'll buy into everything everybody tells me about the softness of your team, because this is ridiculous.
Yep. I am 100% with you. This is a team. They haven't given up more than 2 goals in a single game this entire postseason. You're getting a tired team that has gone through 2 grueling series. This is your opportunity. Take advantage of it. And you are correct. Plus 170 on the lay in 2.5 games with Carolina.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here on Money Moves, Sirius XM Channel 158, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Also, you can check us out on iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, wherever you want to watch or listen. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We were talking through the Eastern Conference final setup between Carolina and Montreal in the National Hockey League last segment, and I did at least want to update on the Western Conference side of things. For Colorado and Vegas, some potential good injury news and bad for the Colorado Avalanche coming out of skate this morning. Arturi Lehkonen and Sam Malinsky, we didn't see them at the end of that series with Minnesota, both on the ice today in their regular jerseys. Also, Brent Burns, who hadn't practiced since the end of that series, he was back on the ice as well. For anyone who doesn't know, he has like a crazy Ironman streak going for over 1,000 consecutive games played and stuff. The dude is nuts. So good to see that he is in health back at practice in Denver. No Cale Makar, however, which could this be just another thing to see if we can give him as much time away as humanly possible and only need him on the ice in game situations, hypothetically. But given the way that he looked at the end of that series with Minnesota, he was gutting it out. And so I would be at least a little bit concerned for Colorado not to have one of their key pieces potentially early or at his full capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the many reasons why I think we came to the conclusion yesterday that Vegas has a little bit more of a chance in the series than we initially gave them credit for. At least I initially gave them credit for when you really dove into it. And it does sound like today is a travel day potentially for the Vegas crew, one would assume. So I know some of the beat writers are on the way to Denver today. So we'll see if we get an update on Stone. He did not practice yesterday.
Yeah, neither he nor Jeremy Lauzon practiced yesterday. William Karlsson, however, did get back on the ice, said that when he missed practice over the weekend on Saturday, it was just a maintenance day, and he got back out there on Sunday. So some positive news there. This Mark Stone stuff, though, is very interesting to me. We were talking offline. On the ice when the injury happened, it very much so looked like he kind of pulled up lame, like it could be a groin or a hamstring type of a thing. But the longer this goes on, and because Vegas hasn't given us any sort of a timeline
that's
or any information, which in hockey they don't in general, right? It's like upper body, lower body, or undisclosed. And that's kind of the case right now with Mark Stone. But there have been a lot of rumors on the internet that actually it could potentially be his back flaring up, which would be really bad and scary news. Is something he's had surgically repaired and missed lengthy streaks of time with Vegas with back issues in the past. So, we know nothing more than that, but that at least is a rumor that has been out there while he's been unavailable for Game 1 coming up tomorrow. Vegas is a plus 160 road dog. Colorado minus 192. High goal total, though, in that one at 6.5. So we will preview that one at length coming up tomorrow as well. Also, did want to say coming up today on Follow the Money, when we get off of the air, there will be an official big reveal announcement today. Derek Stevens and Mike Palm are going to be on with Mitch and Paulie today to announce the guarantees for all of the Circa contests here for football season, as well as some potential changes. So make sure you tune into that. I believe they're going to have that conversation. 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern later on today.
Yeah, we're obviously looking at the construction of the Thanksgiving week was one of the big questions with the addition of Thanksgiving Eve and obviously Black Friday and what you're going to do with all those. Do you make it 3 weeks, 2, whatever? We talked a little bit about that with Mike Palm last week. So it'll be good that when we get Mike back in this Friday, we'll have some clarification on that and talk some shop in terms of strategy. But I will be tuned in for that later today.
I thought that was really interesting, though, how Mike admitted to us that they have really gone back and forth with that, and there was a lot of disagreement. So for them to finally have come to an agreement on something and put pen to paper on it, I'm curious what the answer is going to be.
I would think that you're going to bump Friday to Sunday, right? As part of that,
I think so. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But nobody's asking me.
Okay.
For that slate of games, though, that week, just for anybody who doesn't remember what it is, it looks very, very challenging because there's not a lot of clear answers of what you might want to save or what you might want to do. The Wednesday Thanksgiving Eve day is Green Bay at LA Rams. Then Thursday's triple header, Chicago at Detroit, Philly at Dallas, Kansas City at Buffalo in the nightcap, and then the Black Friday game, Denver at Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm.
It just makes it too challenging if you're not going to split it the way that we were talking about with Mike potentially. So we'll say,
and the Sunday slate's not easy either.
No, not at all. So I'm going to be interested to hear and maybe get a little bit more insight, like you said, about the dynamic of the conversation, who was on what side, and what ultimately kind of pushed them through to make the decision that they did. So that's going to come up on Follow the Money. What time?
2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, so an hour into their program a little bit later on this afternoon. Also, we talked yesterday about the Brendan Soresby story with Texas Tech, and this has been a developing story over the last couple of weeks. He's entered like a rehabilitational center for his gambling addiction. They've been trying to go back and forth to see what ultimately his status with the NCAA is going to be for football or otherwise, if he needs to go into the supplemental draft for the NFL. And we were talking about this yesterday because of like, what is it? Is it a lawsuit or is it how is it being described?
I mean, I believe the technical term would be a suit. I mean, you're just trying to get a result here. You're trying to find, or you're trying to get the result expedited, I think is the term. So I don't know if you would consider it a lawsuit.
So there are a lot of layers to this that I dug into a little bit deeper this morning when I was reading on it. And some of the quotes coming out of this were very interesting to me. So Soresby admitted, and some of this is like rehashing what we already know, but Soresby admitted to, quote, placing small bets on the Indiana football team in amounts between $5 and $50 back in 2002 when he was a member of the Hoosiers. Soresby was a true freshman at the time and competing on the scout team with several quarterbacks ahead of me on the team's depth chart. He said there was no reasonable chance I would play. Okay, so that's kind of like the rationale behind, like, I was thinking I could bet on these because there was no chance I was going to play. And he says it was, quote, to feel more connected to the team and that he never used non-public information when deciding what to bet. And then he says, because Indiana football was not a very strong competitor, I lost most of the bets I played. So this is kind of the rationale of like, listen, yes, I was betting on the team that I play for, but I wasn't playing, and we weren't good, and I lost my bets anyway, so why does it really matter? To an extent. In the affidavit, he also admits that he placed thousands of bets on virtually anything, including the Turkish Basketball League and Romanian soccer matches. And I saw a lot of people coming to his defense, and like, it was COVID. I was like, it was 2022. It's 2022. But anyways, do you, buddy? The other quotes that where's the one that I thought was in? Okay, so here's the really good one. This was the money quote to me. The lawsuit states that Texas Tech on April 27th identified and notified the NCAA that Soresby acknowledged his violations and requested to begin the reinstatement process. But that the NCAA has yet to state if it'll process the request. Soresby, per the suit, offered to accept a 2-game suspension and have his eligibility conditioned on completing his treatment program, among other conditions. Right? Mm-hmm. That sounds all well and good. Mm-hmm. Okay. The NCAA then, in a statement, said it had never received any such reinstatement request for this case. And then last night, Texas Tech comes out and says, oh, but we intend to initiate the reinstatement process. Right. So you can't say... Or they've been trying to claim that they submitted this reinstatement process, a month ago almost, and that, like, you guys need to speed it up and hurry up along when they never actually filed it. Right.
I mean, look, I am not going to pretend to know anything about the intricacies of law and how this is going to go. I think at the end of the day, what we're asking here is to get this result expedited and find out whether or not he needs to apply for the supplemental draft or if he's going to be playing football for Texas Tech this season. So that's going to be what I think the crux of the issue is here. I would expect that he's going to be applying for the supplemental draft. Again, whether or not, because part of the thing we read really quickly yesterday was part of the suit is also, pointing to the alleged hypocrisy of the NCAA, trying to benefit from some of this while also saying you cannot do it. Yeah. I don't know why that would stand. I mean, the rule might be hypocritical, but if it's a rule, it's a rule. Yeah. So if there's a pretty cut and dry, you can't do this and you did it, my assumption would be that even if expedited, you're going to find out it's time to get ready for the supplemental draft. They have about a month, as we covered yesterday. Paperwork's due in June, supplemental draft's in July. But that seems to be the issue here, and I would expect that we're going to hear news that he is going to be applying for the supplemental draft.
100%. Yeah. That is my thought process. The other thing is, and I know the fact that he bet on Indiana football has been the big sticking point on this, is, hey, you bet for the team that you were on. You can't do that. That's automatic grounds. Yeah. But also worth noting that he also bet on other Indiana sports for men's basketball, and was it women's basketball as well? No, it was Indiana and Cincinnati men's basketball games, because while he was at Cincinnati, he did it as well, apparently. But that in and of itself, even if you weren't betting Indiana football, that alone is also grounds enough for you to be suspended or ineligible for a full year plus or whatever it is, or versus like no reinstatement. So there's a lot of layers to this thing, that it's a compounding issue. It wasn't just any one thing or any one bet. It was several bets. It was several sports on your university grounds. And all the while, he's also being sued by the University of Cincinnati for breaking his NIL, whatever commitment that he had with them.
I don't know about you, but last night, I have never felt more connected to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander than when I laid 6.5 and then watched them lose that game. I assume that he's got a very strong connection with his teammates after betting on Indiana.
Wow.
It's a really nerdy, come on. We're grasping at straws here. I get you want this process sped up, but come on now.
I was trying to connect with the team. On that note, though, because we talked about it a little bit already earlier, the potential for a zigzag in the OKC Spurs series. With the set in the Eastern Conference Final getting underway tonight, there are a couple bets that the public is all in on from a prop standpoint. I have some questions for you. Are we agreeing or disagreeing with the public? And also, we got some NBA draft news I know you want to hit on as well. So stick around. We have so much more to come here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Well, we're knee-deep in the NBA postseason. The NBA draft is just over a month away as well. Another key date in the draft timeline coming up in about a week as players need to determine whether or not they're going to withdraw from the draft or stay in it, depending on if they want to maintain their collegiate eligibility. May 27th, again, that date as the draft process rolls on. The combine in the rear view. We talked a lot last week about some of the measurables and guys who may have improved or decreased their stock to an extent. And we're starting to get more and more information as well at the top of the draft and some larger opinions, JVT.
First off, I'd argue we're hip deep in the NBA postseason.
That's okay.
We're in the conference finals.
Halfway.
So,
all right.
you know.
All right.
But I would also say that, we got some interesting news, and I think that this is getting to be a little bit more accurate. I want these markets to get posted, and I'm a little upset because one of the names that I discussed was Zach Cohen on his podcast last week, Hardwood Handicappers, that we were waiting for a draft position prop on, and prediction markets have kind of come around on where he is at, so this is going to be somewhat tough, although one could make the argument that this is still relatively cheap. But Ade Mara is where I wanted to start because there's two things. First off, Jeremy Woo in his latest mock draft actually has him pushed up to 8th. For those who don't remember, he was floating around 12th in the first mock draft that we had talked about right around the lottery. So the expectation that Mara is rising, something we brought up and on the podcast in here, that seems to be the case. From Woo, quote, Mara has built momentum on the heels of Michigan's title run and is viewed by teams as a lock to hear his name called in the lottery. So that's the top 14 selections. You also do wonder, and this is the mock right here if you're watching it up at VSiN.com, going 8th to the Atlanta Hawks. Look at your boy, holding strong at number 7. Maybe I was wrong. Kingston Fleming's the demure guard coming out of Houston. But
demure?
Yeah. Right? Isn't that's the proper term of that, I believe.
Leave him alone.
Quiet, modest, reserved. He's very good. Small sometimes.
He's pretty chatty, actually. Good personality on that one. Charisma.
Unassuming. And I think that Mara is going to be, because I also wonder, Stormy, this is my logic too, how many people, it was right around the time when Nikola Jokic won the NBA Finals and has kind of been bursting onto the scene, if you will, in the early portion. But you kind of saw this rush to let's stock up on centers or let's go look at centers and let's see what's happening. I wonder how many people are watching Victor Wembanyama and going, well, we got to try to find something. So let's go grab the 7'3" dude who's got some skill to him and some athleticism. Let's see if we can recreate or at the very least have something to match up with here, or just have something that provides the same problems, or, diet Wemby, because nobody's going to be Victor Wembanyama. But there might be something to that, and Mara does fit that bill. So I think he's going to rise. I'll be very curious to see what his draft position ultimately is. Prediction markets, as I mentioned, you're priced at about minus 223 to go in the top 10. I think you can make the argument that's relatively cheap considering the projection, the upside, and the value of the position and what is transpiring at this point right now. So Mara is definitely worth monitoring. This is the quote that I think was interesting, even though Woo does have DeBonsa going first. Quote, rival teams don't view DeBonsa as a lock to go first. However, as there has been no true consensus number one among scouts all season. Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, and Caleb Wilson are all expected to receive consideration as the Wizards go through their process. So this is just the whole point of, again, the market for a while thought, remember, it was as high as minus 500, that he was going to be the first overall pick. We have since seen that correct even more so, and now we're floating in the range of minus 280, minus 290. So I think this is going to continue to head in this direction. And again, we'll reiterate, Darren Peterson at anything plus price, I think is worth it, because I think we're going to get to a point where it's a pick. Maybe even he gets favored. But DeBonsa is not this head and shoulders best prospect, and that's also worth mentioning. And the other is, hopefully our boss Steve Cohen's not listening, Braden Burries, it seems, has slipped a little bit here, floating around 11th, the shooting guard out of Arizona. So we'll see how that holds up.
I even told you the other day when we were on the air, I get those daily newsletters from The Athletic as well from the sports page. And there was a headline that I dove into that was talking about the NBA draft that said, by no means, or something along the lines of, by no means is DeBonsa a lock to go number one. So,
and you go, that JVT, he did it again.
What a genius. Let's get to some of your opinions, though, on the game that we have coming up tonight as the first game of the Eastern Conference Final gets underway between the Knicks and Cavs a little bit later on. And I know we already talked big picture about this series. We know you're on the Cavs. We know you think this series can go a little bit longer. But I want to go from a prop perspective. And so, yes, we already talked about this, too. You can go to VSiN.com, get Zach Cohen's article, go to Hardwood Handicappers, find out the props that he is on. But sometimes it's fun to look at what the public is doing as well.
Okay.
And do you want to fade or follow some of the most bet props of the day? Do you think that the public has a good read or not? And John Ewing of BetMGM put out the most bet props for this game earlier this morning. And it starts at the very top, fading Karl Anthony Towns on the points, rebounds, and assists number, 34.5. So the public is taking the under on Cat in game 1. Agree or disagree?
Points, rebounds, and assists. I think I would maybe disagree. I have the feeling that this is going to be a higher scoring series. Like, I would lean over on the total here today. I think we've even seen that too. I think some of the openers were like 215.5, 216.5, and now we're at this 217.5 point wherever we go. So to that point, I think that would mean that Karl Anthony Towns has a relatively decent game. Maybe not so much in the rebounds, but I think you can score here if you're Cat, especially if you get maybe not even so much a quicker pace series, but just an efficient offensive type series. So I'd lean a little over, so I guess I would disagree with the public in that regard.
Has Karl Anthony Towns exceeded your expectations to this point in the postseason? Just like knowing what we know about him, I feel like in general he's played a little bit better than I expected him to.
Oh, yeah. I think he's played very well. I think one of the things that's been interesting about the development of what they've been doing with him is point Cat, which is if you look at the series that they just played against Philadelphia, for example, but it even extends out even further. Go back to, I'm going to pull this up to get the exact number right. His last 7 playoff games, he's averaging 8 assists per game. So they're using him at the top of the key a ton, cutting to the basket and having him find guys there, the little dribble handoffs to get you cheap assists as well. So a lot of the stuff they're using him with is allowing him to really facilitate and be pretty active. So to that point about the points and rebounds and maybe not being as active on the scoring front, over those 7 games, he's averaging 8 assists. But listen to the stat line. We're talking about 15.7 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 8 assists on 60% shooting. He's been a very, very effective player for them in all 3 facets if you're looking at the main categories for a player. So, no, he's been tremendous. Also shooting 47% from 3 in those games. So maybe he's a little bit more of a facilitator, but I think he's been great. Look at that. Look, they're talking about it right now. 6.6 assists per game in 10 games this postseason. How about that?
OG Anunoby also been great, and the expectation is he's going to be back for game 1, which is very important for what they do. But this is another under that the public is actually buying in on for his points, rebounds, and assists, under 23.5.
Yeah, I think that's just the natural thought of, is he, first off, going to be able to keep up what he was doing? Before he got hurt in the 6 games, he was averaging 23 points.
Jalen Williams isn't a good omen for what a guy can do coming back from injury?
I mean, maybe. You're right, because that's a real – look how good he looked, and that was a longer layoff. So I don't think I would deny whether or not that he could get this done, OG Anunoby, considering the form he was in. But I would guess that's part of the logic, I would think.
Max Strus over 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, or I would just go maybe over some 3-point makes for him. Like we talked about 1,000 times, like the Cavs got to figure out the shooting thing, one would assume, at some point. They still didn't even shoot that well in Game 7.
Over 2.5 threes for Max Strus, plus 135. Is that enough?
Yeah, because I think that you're going to use Strus. If you look at how many minutes he's played down the stretch here, especially in that series against Detroit, he is not a shutdown defender, but he's a willing defender with a pretty big body. I mean, we're talking about 6'6". He's got some girth to him as well, so he's not going to get bullied around too much. So you do need guys like him out there, and he's been good in a lot of different facets, right? Key steals, getting some charges, all those sort of things. So I would think that Strus, minutes-wise, is going to be out there, and to just kind of get this shooting fixed, because, again, you have not figured that out. Go back to Game 7. They only shot, I think, was like 31% from 3. So they still really haven't been consistent, and Strus has got to be part of fixing that.
And the last one, Mikal Bridges, under 1.5 made threes.
Yeah, I guess.
That kind of surprises me.
I mean, Bridges has been really all over the place in terms of his production, as we have seen.
Yeah, he either goes 0 or he makes like 3.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But I will say, if we're talking about his 1.5 made threes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like he's gone over that mark in 3 of his last 5, but he went 0 for 2 in the closeout game against Philadelphia. So if you like short sample size and recent trends, then I guess you could look at that under. But like you said, I mean, from a scoring perspective, he has been very inconsistent, and so it's hard to get a read on whether or not he is going to be that. I mean, in the last game, he had 12 points, but he was 6 of 10 from the floor.
So we were talking earlier about the public perception around the Knicks, and so while I've scrolled his Twitter page, John Ewing, that is, of BetMGM, he also put this out, that $775,000 in total has been bet from one guy on the Knicks in Game 1 today, laddering up various alternate spreads.
But not the fun alternate spreads.
Yeah, not to get the plus money. He's laying juice on -2.5, -3.5, -4.5, -5.5, and -6.5. So it's $75K at the first leg of the ladder, $350, $185, $95, $70. Very confident in the Knicks.
Yeah, and minus 210, minus 185, minus 160, minus 140, minus 120. Usually you see the opposite, which is like, let's go 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5.
Yeah. Or why is it the 75K on the heaviest juice as well? Like that distribution of funds doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
I'll pull up the exact tweet. Remember a bettor, and I believe this is the same bettor, did something similar with the Timberwolves at one point in this postseason. So,
rich people, man.
Sure. I was told that every single big bet is a sharp bet. So.
Oh, there you go. Speaking of sharp bets, smarter bets start here, and we've got a limited time offer right now at VSiN that's not going to last a whole lot longer, so get in there while you can. Our full year of VSiN Pro, which is usually about $240, just $199 right now, and if you sign up today, you get 2 extra months for free as well. All you need to do is use the promo code PRO, P-R-O, at vsin.com/subscribe, and it's unlimited access to everything we do here at the network, including, of course, all of the NBA amazing postseason content we've got going.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Already on a Tuesday as we welcome you back here to Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Best bets coming up in a moment. You said you had something to read?
Merle checks in.
Merle.
And says, he actually looks, not that old as you made that voice.
I don't think I made a voice. Yep. Sorry.
Next on Money Moves, JVT recaps his experience auditioning to be the next James Bond. Jacket, shirt with the slick back hair, looking sharp today, brother.
Look at you.
I do like this. You don't see the gray pants either, which I was showing off to Stormy as well. I think it's a very good fit today. Do you not think so?
You're in your fashion game lately.
There you go. I like it.
But here's the thing.
Wait, I didn't finish. Stormy Buonantony, beautiful as always. Have a great day.
Oh, thanks, Merle. Very sweet of you. Why do I keep saying Merle like that?
I don't know.
I got to rein it in.
Yeah.
But you are very fashion forward lately. And as I have told you offline, I am the worst person to ask about your outfit as someone with zero style.
I'm going to be sexist for like 2 seconds here. Some of our audience is like, oh yeah. I just assume that you know fashion because you're a woman.
It's wrong. It's so wrong. As I'm sitting here with stonewashed jean pants on and you're dressed in a very nice outfit. But see, nobody knows that because I'm behind my computer here. It's very secretive. And I have running tennis shoes on. You've got very clean, crispy, white Air Force Ones.
That's right. Although I'm very dour, I do like bright colors, and I think blue is my color.
Okay, very nice. We were talking last segment about the Knicks and Cavs, and I was throwing some of the most bet props your way. But one area that we haven't really had a chance to dive into in this series is Eastern Conference Final MVP. And remember, yes, we have that for the NBA Finals, but we also have that for each of these conferences. And it's a pretty interesting market to dive into, especially as you do the kind of mysterious, villainous hands. What do you even call that? Hands rubbing together.
Hey, rubbing hands together. What do you mean? What do you call it?
I don't know. Isn't there
You're out of it today.
Okay. However, you can tell you're excited to discuss this market.
There is, I think, if you have the availability for it. Mitch actually and I brought this up on Pod of the Futures this week, which I believe is going to be up at some point today. You don't really have a lot of options out here in Nevada. Having said that, James Harden is 22-1 over at FanDuel and some other shops to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He's 12-1 at other places. At 22-1 to get the second best player / ball handler on the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that I believe can win this series. At 22-1, where you're not facing a overtly dominant wing defender like an Asar Thompson that's really going to make you work. Look at some of the differences here in the MVP odds. I wanted to put these together. We always say shop around. Here's a visual example of it. You like Jalen Brunson? Why lay $170? You can lay $155. You like Donovan Mitchell? Well, it's the same price at both spots. But if you like Karl Anthony Towns, guess what? You're getting 12-1 when 10-1's available at FanDuel. James Harden, 12-1 at DraftKings, 22-1 at FanDuel. OG Anunoby, 35-1 at DraftKings in comparison to 25-1 over at FanDuel. A little bit of a difference in Mobley. You get 40-1 at DraftKings, 35-1 at FanDuel. Look at the difference in Josh Hart.
Yep.
If you want to take the shot on Josh Hart, 80-1, Go get 125 to 1.
Yeah.
You think Jarrett Allen can overcome his comments about the lights being too bright and win a Eastern Conference Finals MVP? Why take 80 to 1? Go get 100 to 1. So you see all of the differences here. And I want to make sure, is that a typo or is that 120? I believe that might be a small typo. I think it's 125 to 1 at FanDuel for Mikal Bridges, or it might be 25 to 1. Might be an
it
issue.
is. It's 125 to 1.
Okay. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But like Mitch Robinson, 250 to 400. You see these differences here. By the time you get to the bottom of this list, highly unlikely that some of these guys are going to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And here's the other thing. As I and many bettors will always do, bring up the losses. I don't like taking super long shots because you just don't trust these voters. I will say this 1,000 times. This is how angry I get.
You sound like me talking about how to figure out how to describe your hands.
Reggie Miller, on the broadcast of the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7 between the Heat and the Celtics, called Caleb Martin the MVP. He hit a shot, and Reggie Miller said, "Here's your MVP."
And did not vote for him.
Yes. So never trust the voters. Never trust the voters at all. That's the whole point here. Always go with the low-hanging fruit for the most part. But I think James Harden at 22 to 1, given if the Cavs win the series, I know a lot of people are screaming, they're not going to win. If they win, Harden has to be effective. And as somebody who believes they have a better shot at winning this thing, then I think there's something to it. And the last point on this series overall, because there's a lot of smart people out there in the prediction modeling site, but the guy who crafted the LeBron ratings, right? His model put together this, and he simulated it a bunch of times. You can follow him up on X if you want, KNARSU, Canarsu 3. Model on the site has the Knicks as a 56.6% chance to win this series. In comparison, DraftKings has it priced 69.6%, FanDuel's at 67.87%. As he follows it up, looking at a bunch of models I ran yesterday, they'll have this series in the Knicks 55 to 59% range. So I'm not the craziest person in the world thinking that this is priced a little high. Let's go Cavs.
Okay, last few minutes here. Let's get to the best bets. We got to look back before we look forward. To recap yesterday, for me, I only added a series bet yesterday, so nothing to grade just yet. But for inquiring minds, it was the over 5.5 games in the Vegas and Colorado series. I think it was minus 150-ish that I don't remember the exact juice on it. But that was the bet that I put in yesterday. What did you have to grade?
Yesterday, we don't have to do that. Thunder minus 6.5, and then Canadians Sabres over 5.5. That was tough.
Tight checking.
Yes, the tight check. Dude, that's the other part. We didn't even bring that up. Okay. To the point, it's funny. I just totally forgot about this. That's also the reason why I was mad about that game yesterday. That game should have gone over.
For sure.
Buffalo, come on.
For sure.
The stupidity of hockey. Again, I enjoy the sport. I appreciate the sport. I was watching that game. I got a goal early. I'm thinking we're good. We're getting high danger chances out the wazoo.
It's 2-0 in the first. We're feeling good.
What was that? I deserved better.
You did.
Absolutely ridiculous. So for today, not much. Again, Harden to win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Definitely worth adding at 22 to 1. And I will say I would play the Cavs, but I do have this Eastern Conference Finals ticket on them. So I'm going to sit back and wait and see if maybe we can Believeland can grab a victory here in Game 1 and get this thing to a 1-0 series lead and then maybe do something from there.
And James Harden official play?
If I can find it out here, yes.
Okay.
I highly recommend it, but I haven't been able to get my hands on it yet. So I'm going to look today to find. There is a book out here that I believe has FanDuel odds, but for some reason, man, I don't know if it's a Nevada rule or whatever it is, but these conference finals MVPs and these finals MVPs are not offered often, and they are not updated. So, for example, at most shops around the United States, you'll get the updates between every single game. Here, they'll just, if they put it up,
and that's all.
Yeah, that's it.
That sucks. As for me, I do have another hockey series play that we're going to put in for the Eastern Conference Final. Carolina laying the 1.5 against Montreal, minus 125. I know, JVT, you were still considering laying the 2.5 with Carolina as well at a plus money price. We've talked about it a lot. This is your time. Carolina Hurricanes. If there was ever a time for you to get through and punch your ticket to the Stanley Cup final, this is the year. There's no Florida on the other side. You have the youngest team in the postseason that you're facing, who has just come off back-to-back 7-game series. You better win. You better handle business in short order as well. You are the most rested team we've ever seen at this point in the playoffs as well. So there's no excuses left for you. Win this, handle business, and cover the game and a half for your girl. We are also going to Major League Baseball today. Just one play on the Dodgers. It is a hefty juice price. I did minus 155 on them on the money line against my San Diego Padres today. San Diego won yesterday, 1-0. It was a solo shot in the first inning. Their offense has not been doing a whole lot. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to against Emmett Sheehan today. Sheehan, is that the proper way? Sheehan today. 3-1, 4.54 ERA. I talked about this with Adam earlier. The way that he's had his last couple starts have been really solid. I feel like even on the road, the Dodgers aren't going to lose back-to-back games to San Diego in this spot. Don't love Griffin Canning's numbers at all. On the other side for San Diego, the Dodgers offense should be able to take advantage. So give me the Dodgers on the money line, and I know Adam was on their run line today as well at a little short plus money price.
Cool. Down with it. I'm excited for this game tonight. Should be good.
I think it's going to be fun, too. It's just, after what we had last night, there's nothing that tonight can do for me in the same way.
Never say never.
I had so much fun watching basketball yesterday, and I just can't wait for more games of it. I hope we get a 7-game series.
Yes.
Have you ever heard me be more excited about a basketball series? No.
That's what I mean. You should maybe put in the same effort I put into enjoying and appreciate the sport of hockey.
I'm really upset at you for making that critique of me today when I have put in extra effort consistently on the NBA.
I'm a credentialed NHL media member, so.
So I need to get an NBA credential? We don't have a team here for me to go through.
You
Sorry. Last I checked.
I've been credentialed for NBA events. I'm credentialed for the Summer League.
So Summer League, that's what I need to do. I'll go with you to Summer League.
Oh, I'm so excited for Summer League.
Use
It's going to be
ESPN
so
poll.
good. With all these rookies coming in, it's a high, what's it called? A high talent class. There's a lot of guys that I'm excited to watch. This is going to be a tremendous Summer League.
I'm making a lot of effort, and I just want that to be recognized.
We all going to go to Summer League? We're going to go to Summer League games? Come on, yeah.
Why not? All right, that's a wrap for us today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Stick around, though. Not that it isn't always, but awesome edition of Follow the Money coming up, in particular because Derek Stevens and Mike Palm are going to be on in about an hour. What's the guarantee? You're going to find out this afternoon for the Circa contest. Check it out.